What's up, everybody? This is the Mad Reaper. I thought I'd just hop on here and discuss my new little project, Figure Giant, with all of you and describe kind of what the theory behind it was. Figure Giant started off as a customizer's dream shop. I think so often a big hang up to customizers getting into the game and trying it is that fear of torso cracking. Now, I've done a tutorial about it. I've taught a lot of customizers how to torso crack, but it seems to be something that is always a hang up. So when I was thinking about growing our hobby and how I could contribute to that, standing on the shoulders of giants, it's like, well, okay, we have a lot of great parts here. I think the Mattel Elite platform is the best one to be able to customize on. And I used to start on Jakks Titantron. So I really wanted to provide a place to where you could buy specific parts and not have to crack them. Pre-cracked torsos being the big driving force behind it. So that way more people could go ahead and look at a torso and be like, I'm going to make this guy with this. And instead of having to buy a figure, crack a torso, then end up, getting a rather large fodder collection. Fodder, first of all, is custom for parts. So it's all the miscellaneous parts that you can kit bash together to make a custom figure. The big point is that now you'll be able to buy pre-cracked torsos. In addition to pre-cracked torsos, we'll offer arms, crotches and thigh pieces, boots, calves, heads, and even some soft good accessories and cloth. For the most part, we're trying to offer as much pieces as we can to help you guys build the puzzle that you want, the final piece. And then not only that, I'm also bringing in some of my favorite tools. So you guys see me use a lot of these aluminum alligator clamps. We'll be adding those, as they're going to be called Reaper sticks. they're my way of holding pieces while I'm airbrushing them or painting them. The little things like this that I've come to realize through my experience, what I want, what I need, what I like to have, and was really hard to find. Really hard pieces to source, like my thermoplastics. I'm going to offer my Warble on here. And so I've talked about it before on my Instagram post, how to use it. I use it for Drago's armor and like Vampiro's hat and whatnot, but it's not really widely available, and at least not in a size that's pretty applicable for figures. So we're offering that too from Figure Giant. We're also offering the blister packages for the figures if you want custom packaging. I've saved all my blisters, and that's why I cut them down to size to fit into the cases to be able to make the custom cards and kind of make them how I want to make them. But it's very heavily inspired by Brian Beatty, which is an older customizer, a legend. And I always remember watching him when I was young, his work, and really wanting to be able to be like that. So we're offering the cases too. So now anyone could literally go ahead and make the figure that I'm making. Maybe not to the same painting level and stuff, but throughout hopefully our tutorials and throughout the ability to start trying to make customs, we'll have a lot more people actually try to and stick to it and get better at it. The torso crack shouldn't have been a road bump to be able to start getting into this hobby. And now hopefully I've broke it. That's the goal. So let's get into our torso crack. Just very basic preliminary stuff for you beginners that may get this torso and not know what to do with it and how to open it and how to apply it to a figure. So first of all, I've come up with a classification system. T1 is the Daniel Bryan torso, the thinner ones, and you'll be able to see on the site whether they're the tan or the Caucasian, the more Caucasian, the white color, or the Latino color, whatever. You'll be able to see that and be able to tell from the pictures. Now, a lot of the catalog depends on you being able to look at the picture and kind of decipher that information. So I'm going to help you out as best as I can, and with the descriptions and the pictures and whatnot. But the T1 torso, let's get to opening it. So your part's going to come in a plastic baggie like this. These are all cracked from brand new figure, and the difficulty is that sometimes they may be hard to open, and that's a good thing, a more difficult thing for you. It's a good thing because the factory figure came with a lot of glue. In the inside, you'll see these pegs, and in those pegs are where the factory puts their glue, which is essentially what we're doing when we're heating it up. We're heating up the glue so that we can pull the torsos apart. That being said, if you do got a really good torso that is cracked and you can't quite get it open with the method I'm about to show you, then drop it, put a cup of water in the microwave, take it out. Once it's hot, go, soak your torso in there for a minute or not even 30 seconds, and it should be pretty hot to be able to start peeling back. The longer the better. I'd say a minute to be safe, and you should be able to peel it back with your hands by that point. That being said, then when you want to reapply it and reattach it, you can use a blow dryer, which, I'll go on all these tools that I use throughout these video series. But you'll be able to heat it up and then push it together harder, and hopefully the factory glue will hold that together for you. I've done it a lot on a lot of my customs. So anyway, let's get back on track here. The easiest way to do this, the most widespread way to do this, would be to take a flathead screwdriver. I use a little one just because it's a little easier for that leverage when I am torso cracking it, but it really helps in prying open a lot of these figure parts. Now, you don't want to try to pry along the side here. Even if you see an opening, don't try to go in there. The reason being is that plastic is soft and metal is hard. So if you pry too hard, you're going to distort the plastic. And then when your figure is put together, you're going to see a big ugly mark there. So we try to stick into the areas, the door jambs of the arms, where people don't see the inside of the plastic. And then for the bottom torso, you'll stick to the bottom because this part is laying up against the crotch piece, so you won't even see it. So the easiest way to do it is probably stick it into an arm socket, and you start working it back and forth. I stick it in like this way, like a key, and then start kind of rocking it back and forth and seeing how it's going. And then once you start getting it here, this is where the secret weapon comes in. This is the Reaper Kung Fu torso grip pulling method. I do this with arms normally, but you can do that with this piece as well. So I like to put my finger on this. Don't push too hard to crack it, but it is creating a leverage. And then you're gripping with your thumb and middle finger the sides of it, and you'll pull each other back while wiggling it back and forth. The reason you have to wiggle it back and forth is because all these little pegs in here have to go fit inside there, and they have to fit flush. So you have to wiggle it to not break one of these pegs. This is a pretty clean crack. You see one peg got cracked here. That's normal. This is still a great torso crack. I would say even if we lost 2 more, we'd still be in a really good torso crack. The main ones you want to keep are these ones, or one of these longer ones. It really doesn't matter. The big one is a good one, the big circle. And then you'll see this little rubber thing here. Make sure you don't lose these 2 parts. Every torso we sell is going to have these 2 parts. This is a peg for the head, and this is a rubber bushing to allow the torso hinge to articulate over the lower abdomen piece. So let's go ahead and look at this real quick. We got this rubber piece right here. The way to put this back in, you'll see there's a little slot here. I'll remove this lower piece. The way you have to put this back in is being able to slide it right between there. And you'll see it when you take it apart, but be careful and study that. If not, always ask us for help. We'll be able to help you guys out. Or, reach out to another customizer. We'll have, if everything goes as planned in my head, we'll have a lot of guest lectures and hopefully a lot of lessons for everyone to learn from. And then the head peg here, there are different sizes that different torsos come from. You kind of see once you open it. A lot of people don't even know that. So from my experience customizing, I know that. So either way, heads up. So when you're putting this together too, it's going to have a little plate piece in here in the back side, and you're going to want that to go on top of the bushing. So that way this is laying flat here like this with nothing underneath it, because this is what will allow the torso piece up top to slide and not get caught on this crack. So this is an important piece here. And then the next piece, I got a hair in my mouth. All right. In the next piece, the lower abdomen, I like to, usually when I'm torso cracking it, I do a pretty clean job here, so you can't even really jam a screwdriver in there. Sometimes you can try to get a little, depending on how thick your screwdriver is. But the best part I find is to put it all the way down in there and start kind of twisting like a key. And then, once I get in there a little bit, then I'll go back and forth just to pry it a little bit more. And so the key parts at prying any parts, regardless of whether you're cracking the torso yourself or you're using a pre-cracked one, it's to always make sure you distribute that force. these are pegs, and that's how they're held together. So if you're trying to crank it too much from one side, you're going to break the rest of the pegs. And you can open a torso that way, but it ain't going to look pretty going back together. Promise you that. So don't do that. And then once it gets to this part, you can use the screwdriver, the flathead here, and start making a back and forth prying motion. But I still won't go all the way. You probably could. You could probably pull it apart now too, and this is actually a good time to do that. But if you didn't want to even and go another one, you could go down below here and crack it so it's equal. You always want it to be equal when you're taking it apart. So now you pull it apart, and this is a perfect lower abdomen torso crack. This bottom piece is always going to get cut here because that's how we open the lower abdomen. Yeah, those of you that do know how to torso crack, you guys know what I mean. So yeah, that's it. So hopefully you guys enjoy the site. We put a lot of work into it. Sorry it's going to be published a little later, but I think you guys are going to be happy with it because we'll have the display cases, the blisters, the Warbler. Those were my dog's ears. More accessories, more belts, all the heads and everything. So we hope you guys dig it. In the future, let us know what you guys are looking for. Let us know what kind of parts you guys may want, and what more kind of tutorials, because hopefully I'll be more involved in kind of the teaching side as I ease back from taking commissions. Yeah, I hope you guys dig it. And like and share it, please, you guys. Like, this is just a new little thing, and I don't have the biggest following myself, but I want to grow it, so I'm going to depend on all you guys. If you guys are a fan of my work, thank you very much. Please follow Figure Giant, share it, try to get the word out there. We want this to be as big as possible because ultimately a lot of our followers wish they could do what we can do, and I think that they can, so I'm going to make that easier. So yeah, you guys, peace out. This is the Mad Reaper.